Now, back to Access Tech Live, a CES special. The latest in tech and accessibility with Stephen Scott and Marc Aflalo.
And we're back on our first of two CES specials. The second airs live tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern, right here on AMI TV, AMI Plus, YouTube, and anywhere else you can find us. Now, we are so pleased to welcome our next guest to the show. She is the Director of Operations and Deputy Director at the World Institute of Disability. Kat Zigmont, thank you so much for joining us today on the program. Tell us what you do there.
Absolutely. So the World Institute on Disability is a disability-led organization for over 40 years now, and we focus in global community inclusion, disaster response, in lots of countries, as well as assistive technology and accessibility and universal design. So at WID, I lead our accessibility division, which does user experience testing, focus groups, all kinds of research on different types of technologies that can help people with disabilities live independently in their homes. And we work with a lot of large corporate organizations who are trying to make their products accessible, you know, their gaming products or their you know, other types of technology. And we test it directly with the disability community on a regular basis. So I oversee that work and actually really understand the utilization of technology to live independently as a person with a disability across the world.
Kat, that's a pretty intense mission, especially as an organization that really has no borders. What do you get out of a CES show? When you come to CES, is it about networking with companies that you already work with? Is it about discovering new companies that could maybe use your services? What's the goal when you come to a show like this?
That's a really great question. I really enjoy CES because I scan the floors and I really look for products with disability applicability. So obviously there's a lot of really cool tech that's being developed specifically for people with disabilities, like augmented reality captions. You know, that's a really cool one I saw yesterday. But there's also tech like a baby carriage that sort of moves on its own. And I talked to that booth about the applicability for wheelchair users who might have a little trouble rolling their wheelchair and pushing a carriage at the same time. And something like an automated carriage is really something that could help a parent with a disability live more independently. So I look through the floor for all kinds of technology that could help the disability community as assistive tech, where the builders might not really understand that market opportunity and that applicability for the disability community. So it's really fun to discover new technologies and really connect those dots.
Yeah, no, that's super cool, especially when you think of a company who's designing a product for one purpose and doesn't realize, hey, wait a second, there's a whole other market, there's a whole other benefit to what we're doing here. When you approach companies like that, let's use the baby carriage or stroller for example, do you find them receptive? Is it something that you're trying to convince them, or is it like an educational element? What do you find how do you find they receive you?
Yeah, both actually. So when I spoke to the people at the booth with the baby carriage, they actually said that that was a use case that they had seen before and that they would like to know more about how someone in a wheelchair would utilize their product, which is where we can help them out. I have also approached someone in past years, for example, it was a mouse band that you put around your hand and you double click or swipe with an arm motion. And I talked to them about, oh, this could be applicable to quadriplegics who have curled fingers and can't use the mouse, but could totally use this as a mouse. And I got a lot of resistance. Oh, this product is for gamers and not for them. So I get the spectrum, but the truth is, if a product is applicable You know, you really want to help the person understand the marketability of that. And so I try to connect with them later on. When it comes to the big boxes, you know, I go to Samsung and LG and all of the big boxes too. They have all kinds of accessibility features, and for them, you know, I might push a little harder because they have the resources to really make those accessibility features extremely robust, right? And so, you know, I take a different approach depending on if it's a small startup or if it's a big box with a big budget.
Kat, I mean, there's another angle here, which of course is price, right? You know, if you're buying product, if you're looking to buy a product as a disabled person, the cost of products built specifically for our needs can be incredibly expensive, way more expensive than mainstream alternatives. So what a fantastic thing to look for products that, as you say, are disability applicable or disability adjacent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you're right. Price is a big issue. And when people come to SES, they're usually, or the startups anyways, are usually on the beginning of the journey and have that big price and really need the distribution and the quantity of buyers in order to bring that price down. You see that a lot in the hearables. You know, hearables were just passed by the FCC and they've been here a while. Their price point is way lower than hearing aids, but really still way higher than the disability community can often afford. And so the other piece of that is helping the disability community understand exactly who this product is for, you know, and get them to start purchasing and buying so that the cost can come down. But you're absolutely right. There is a barrier to entry for these emerging technologies, which is a shame because some of them can be transformative.
How do you take the experiences that you have today at CES, for example, and turn that into something in a year from now and 2 years from now? Is it something you find that's easy, or is it just it's constant work in progress?
That's a really great question. I definitely think it's a work in progress. There are certain companies that I met here at CES that I've been working with for several years. This is a great company called Voice It, who's working on a AI to help people with dysarthric speech use smart technology, right? So Alexa can understand most voices, but not people with deaf accents or CP accents, for example. And so they're collecting, I'm helping collect those voices in order to improve that product and improve the ability for folks to, you know, utilize the technologies in their home. But it's been a long journey of applying for grants to do this work, continuing the conversation, building partnerships. So, you know, I met them 2 years ago and, you know, have walked alongside their journey, which has been
Kat, sorry,
really
I gotta cut you off just because we're live, but congratulations on all the work that you do. We're going to continue this conversation off the air and have you back on. Great. But thank you for tuning in today and being with us. We're back tomorrow, noon Eastern. Thanks to Tim and Dave over at CES. We'll be back tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning in to Access Tech Live. Follow us online on all social media at Access Tech Live. Email us feedback@accesstechlive.com. Hosted by Stephen Scott in Glasgow and Marc Aflalo in Montreal. Written by Stephen Scott and Marc Aflalo. Producer, Marc Aflalo. Live show director, Anastasia Spalding-Stenhouse. Technical director, Caitlin Robinson. Audio, Jordan Mulgrave. Live graphics and playback, Kingsley Juco. Graphics coordinator, Eliza Rocco. Post-production and graphics, Jordan Steves. Social media, Wendy Kaufman. Voiceovers, Jeff Carter. Integrated described video specialist, M. Williams. Supervising producer, Michelle Dudas. Manager of Operations, Kyle Harper. Manager Programming, AMI TV, Lisanne Gagne. Director, Content Development and Production, Kara Nye. VP Content Development and Programming, John Melville. President and CEO, David Arrington. Produced in collaboration with Aflalo Communications, Inc. and Double Tap Productions. Copyright 2024, Accessible Media, Inc.
An AMI original production.